Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of the Power Rangers SPD 5-inch figures from my Retro Review series. I believe these sort of came from different waves. I think that the core 5 were in one wave and Shadow and Omega might have been in different ones if I recall. It's been a while. I actually did pick these up when they came out, but it made more sense in my head to review the regular guys all together since there is SWAT mode for everybody, including Omega and Shadow. So I might be missing one of those, but stay tuned for that. But anyway, that's why these guys are all being reviewed together. So I'm going to go over all the figures. As per usual, I'm just going to go over the articulation for like 2 of them, which is pretty much a guy and a girl since they share the same mold. Maybe a few comments on Shadow, but, you know, saves time. I don't know. I just explain everything to you. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with number 1 here because I think that's how math works. I'm not sure. I'm not very good at math. So here is the Spd Red Figure. I think I said that already. Maybe should I say it again? Here is the Spd Red Figure. Okay, so as we go along with these reviews, I feel like we're sort of seeing like the evolution. We are seeing the evolution of the 5-inch figures, and I think as time goes on, they got better. They always have that bit of like muscly definition that they really don't have in the show. It's not until we get into Jungle Fury and RPM that they really fixed that, and I think these guys definitely look skinnier than like Dino Thunders or like Wild Force or Time Force or something. The Wild Force was different, but still, I think they were starting to get better, but I still think these are still overly defined compared to the current ones. I just point that out because I feel the need to point that out in every review, how everyone complains about the current action heroes being too muscly, and I think that they're certainly better than what we used to get. But anyway, overall, this is still a pretty decent figure, I think. It's got a pretty solid paint job on it. I really don't have too many problems with it. It captured most of the major detail. We have gotten an update on figures like this. I believe out of this assortment here, Red and Omega are the only ones that have gotten updates, but and I did do a comparison in those action hero reviews, and you can sort of see that even though I think the paint and details on this guy are pretty solid, the proportions on his helmet and stuff aren't quite as good or as accurate looking as like the updated ones or the way it is in the show. And I guess it's not like I never noticed it, but it's like once you start getting better figures, you do notice it. But yeah, he does have a gimmick feature. You can see here this is pressable, and his head lights up. It's kind of hard to tell because I have it so freaking bright in here. Let me at least turn off this light, see if it helps. But some of them, they're just so their little side lights will light up and it'll just show that. But like on this one, like I said, it's kind of hard to tell, but his whole head lights up. It's like he's really mad or has a fever. So it's kind of funny, but that's his features. Some of them work for me, some of them don't because they're kind of old. Articulation-wise, he's actually pretty solid. You have a nice hinge joint here, so you get a solid range of motion all around there. A single elbow joint here. You can twist his hand around. His leg's also on a nice little joint as well, so you can get a pretty good range of motion in a single knee joint there. And you can move his head around. You cannot move his waist, though. But still pretty well articulated. Like, as time goes on, these did get better articulated. They used to not be able to move their arms out, and they can do it here. And you can get him in some pretty solid poses. These do have various accessories with them. Some of them you can probably see in the background I do have, but as I always mention with these retro reviews, often I'm missing things. In the case of these, I actually did buy them when they came out, but over the course of changing displays and storage and whatever, I just lost track of them somewhere. So I believe he did come with some, he did come with some weapons, but all of them came with various weapons. I don't remember exactly which. I think he did come with his Delta Blasters. It might have been one singular piece. I don't remember. But yeah, and actually his articulation, loose joint-wise, is actually held up pretty well over the years, so there's that to be pleased about. Now, even though I said we were doing this math order, I'm going to go over a girl next since different mold. The girl mold here is pretty solid. They didn't make her overly muscly or overly busty, which may not be considered a bad thing, but yeah, they did a good job on this mold, I think. I think that, in particular, they got the proportions and, like, the slenderness right. The shoulders kind of stick out a little bit, but overall it's still okay. As you can see here, she has her weapon with her. It might even be, I think this is the wrong one, too. I'm not sure. It just seems kind of, maybe it is. I don't know. It just seems kind of big. If it is the right one, which actually it seems to be, it's just a little bit too big in scale for her, especially sitting there. Her little button press feature is not working because it ran out of batteries, I guess. Articulation-wise, even though she's the same mold, it does have, or the same, I don't know where I was going with that. Even though she's a different mold, there we go, Dawson, a different mold, it features pretty much the same level of articulation here as well. So pretty solid range of motion, same as Red's, it's just a little bit of a thinner mold. I forgot to mention you could turn Red's legs there. But yeah, the same deal there, which is, it's nice, and They don't have skirts on these, so you don't have to worry about them hindering the movement, which is nice. Like on the ones that have skirts, usually even if they have the articulation, the material is so strict and solid. Usually the girls, I was about to say, usually the girls get shafted in terms of movement, and that was just about to be wrong, and then I said it anyway because I was explaining it, so now we're here. Alright, here's SPD Green. Like I said, same articulation. He's pretty noticeable in terms of the muscular stature, given the way Green's looks in the show, and the proportions of the helmet aren't exactly right compared to what the show looks like, but the paint job's still pretty decent on him. He actually is one of the few that has his weapon. His light up feature is working. You can see the little ears lighting up there. Let's do yellow here. Same deal here, same articulation. None of these guys, I believe, actually have very many loose joint problems that I can think of, which is actually quite nice for older figures. Because depending on, you could get figures that are really well done and don't have any loose joints, and then you could pick them up one day and they're just kind of aged and gotten loose. Here's Blues, which I feel like for whatever reason has the most accurate helmet proportions compared to the others. His light up feature doesn't work. It's still kind of a neat feature though, like when you think about it, even though like certain ones of them aren't working, it's a pretty neat little feature, which is, it's accurate to the show, which is nice. Alright, now we have my weird voice, Digimon, Decathlon, bread. Okay, sorry, I'll stop. Okay, Shadowmon, damn it, Digimon, Shadow Ranger, there we go, which looks pretty cool. His articulation, his base mold is pretty much the same. You can see the signature dust here from being on the shelf that I didn't get it good enough. IR professional. There's really not too much that hinders him or anything. I mean, he's got these little shoulder pads here, but they don't really hinder him that much or anything like that. No loose joints or anything. I think he looks pretty solid. The helmet sculpt isn't 100% accurate in terms of proportions, but I still think it looks pretty good. I think the paint job on it's pretty good. It could be a little shinier, but I still think they actually got the color quite well done on it. And in this one, you're not noticing? I'm such a good talker, guys. Noticing the muscle definition as much because he's got like the armor. He does come with his saber here, which is pretty cool. It's just a solid black piece, but still pretty cool. It's overall just a really nice little figure of one of my favorite designs. It could be a little bit better in terms of proportion. I wish we would have gotten a Shadow Ranger in the Legendary Rangers like action hero line. Here's Omega's, which was another one I believe I did do a comparison in the action hero wave. Look, his whole head lights up. He's got a fever. The Shadows works. Boom. But his like whole headlights, I was like, I'm so mad that my figure isn't as cool as the action hero. But it's still overall okay. Like, I don't think these are bad figures, but especially when you see the updated version, the proportions on them don't look quite as right. It looks very bird-like now that I think about it. You'd think it was Commander Birdie or something. He really doesn't have any weapons. He might have come with something, but in the show, obviously, he just uses the morpher, so he might not have. It's been so long, guys, seriously. But same articulation, same everything. I do love Omega Ranger's design. It's a really cool design. But yeah, that's pretty much it for these. It's always weird to get to sort of a recommendation portion of these videos because these are sort of older and we are getting better updated figures. Now, in the case of SPD, in terms of American releases, you only have Omega and the Red Ranger updated as figures for your options. For the Core 5, you can actually get the figure arts, which are quite a bit more expensive. But overall, I don't think these are bad figures at all. They're actually pretty solid figures. They're well painted, good articulation, a nice little fun light up feature. Their biggest crime really is just kind of having inaccurate proportions. But overall, I still think they hold up pretty solidly outside of being kind of oddly shaped in the helmet area and stuff like that. There's certainly been improvements in the area of figures since then, but if you're, a fan of collecting the older 5-inch lines like myself, I think they are one of the better ones in my opinion. I still do enjoy them for what they are. It's just kind of neat to collect that history of, the initial core figures for the line. But anyway, that's about it. Until next time, make sure to check out the Crazy Podcast at writersrangersrambles.com, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, it's Dawson Ryder, signing out.